Welcome to the Digital Dreaming Off the Ground podcast. In case you guys don't already know, the news is in. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to stay a San Francisco 49er, as reported yesterday by Ian Rappaport on NFL.com. He's still going to be scheduled so he's restructuring his deal. He's still going to be able to be the highest paid backup in the NFL, maybe besides the exception of Sam Darnold. But essentially, I think what it says is it's pretty obvious what it says. I mean, obviously, if anyone watched preseason, if you saw the last game against the Texans, Trey was looking very discombobulated. He just didn't look like he was comfortable in the pocket. There's a lot of kind of missed throws, a lot of easy reads and easy throws, in my opinion, that he could have made, but he just couldn't. Obviously, from the lack of experience and lack of playing. Like Shannon Sharpe has said, like many others on the major news networks have said today, Jimmy Garoppolo is basically a form of an insurance policy, right? You have a guy who's won, the majority of his games, around 75% plus of his games. He's been a starter, in the league for the past 5-6 years now. He knows the system, he knows Shanahan, and he can kind of be a mentor to Trey as Trey further develops, in the passing game. It gives the Niners the best chance to obviously make a run, in all honesty. So we'll see how it plays out. I think Jimmy obviously coming back to the Niners is a good thing. However, the side effect of it is obviously how the locker room is going to respond to it. You might have a divided locker room as a result of kind of Jimmy not being shipped off or released, for those who are pro Trey and those who are pro Jimmy. But at the same time, Jimmy and Trey have both been on record to say there is no animosity between either one of them. Trey has actually even gone as far as to say that Jimmy's been like a big brother to him. It's kind of like this guy with Steve, a little different from this guy and Steve Young. But essentially, I do think that, there's a lot of positives that can come out of this situation. Hopefully, Jimmy and Trey are able to kind of make each other better. Hopefully Jimmy can really make Trey better and Trey can learn and kind of really develop this year. And then obviously maybe next year when he's ready to take the reins, with one full season under his belt, then he can definitely kind of be in a position to help lead the Niners, to the promised land. So obviously the team is in win now mode, and they're built to win. And so obviously I think this is kind of the rationale behind retaining Jimmy, restructuring his deal. And obviously it just shows how much Jimmy cares about the team and how much he cares about the fans. And, obviously Jimmy, appreciate you kind of staying on and, just being a kind of, a great role model, a great figure to Trey. Many teams could have used Jimmy. Obviously no one really expressed interest. So I think actually might be a blessing in disguise if we just look at it from a personal perspective. Having Jimmy on the roster makes it gives us Niners a little bit of an edge, especially against some teams like the Rams, in the regular season. Obviously, the postseason is yet to be seen, so we'll see how that all plays out. Other news outside of that, the Lakers, Jeannie Buss is on record to say, she basically named all the starters of the Lakers, what she was excited about for this upcoming season. She did not name Russell Westbrook, and I believe that was intentional. The Lakers can basically waive Westbrook and just eat up the $47 million, or they could figure out a way to kind of trade him. But the issue is obviously kind of similar to the Niners. The Lakers have not found any suitable trade partners for Russell Westbrook. I do think Russell Westbrook distancing himself to the team really shows he doesn't want to be there. So they could just pretty much send him home at this point. It's not really going to impact the Lakers in any way, shape, or form. They did obviously make the new acquisition for Patrick Beverley, and P-Bev is obviously a great addition to the roster because he's a 38% three-point shooter, and obviously his defense is pretty good. On both ends, he brings it on both ends of the floor. So hopefully Lakers can continue making some kind of silent moves to get back in playoff contention. I do think that, once you get the right pieces around LeBron James and a healthy Anthony Davis, the keyword is healthy, right? If AD is healthy, then the Lakers will definitely be in a better position this coming season, as opposed to last season, the season prior. So I do think the Lakers are also going to be in a pretty good spot, hopefully, right? Granted that, they find an option for Westbrook, either waiving or trading him. But obviously, we'll see how that all shapes out. Niners, obviously, both the teams, right? Niners and the Lakers have a similar situation, so similar problems, right? Outside of that, I do one more thing. Andre Iguodala was recently on Draymond Green's podcast, and he asked if he was a Hall of Famer. He said something really interesting that I found interesting. He basically said the Hall of Fame, he doesn't control it. He did his part. He ran from the bench. He ran the system from the bench as well as he could for the X amount of years he was there. And essentially from that end, Andre Iguodala was, he basically stated that there are players who are the Hall of Fame who are not better than him and not better than guys he knows. But there's some guys who are not in the Hall of Fame who are better than some Hall of Famers, So I mean, a lot of, and that pretty much that's how he pretty much ended it. And I do think that's interesting to note because, even the NFL, we've seen in recent years, the Hall of Fame has just been kind of a popularity contest. And, even the NFL 100th, anniversary team, guys like T.O., guys like Shannon Sharpe were left off that list for whatever reason. And I do think a lot is to be said about, guys such as, Terrell Owens not making not making the NFL 100th anniversary team, and guys like, guys like a Shannon Sharpe, guys like a Drew Brees who didn't make it either. Obviously there are a limited amount of spots, but, same can be applied for the Hall of Fame. I mean, if you look at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, for example, Leroy Butler made the Hall of Fame, and I've actually visited the Hall of Fame museum not too long ago. I visited, kind of long ago, 5 years ago. I visited the Hall of Fame Museum in Canton, and I really enjoyed it's a great experience. If you haven't gone to the Hall of Fame Museum, definitely check it out whenever you have free time. It's a great experience, for the family, and even if you just want to go alone like me, if you're a football fan and just a diehard sports kind of historian, to some level, right? But ultimately, I think with Andre Iguodala's comments, I mean, a lot of people may actually put him in the Basketball Hall of Fame because of what he was able to contribute to the championship dynasty of the Warriors, being a member of all 4 championship teams, being a Finals MVP, and also being an All-Star prior to joining Golden State. He has a case. There's guys like Calvin Murphy who weren't really transcendental. If you look at the numbers, you look at his All-Star selections, but he's in the Hall of Fame. So I think there's something to be said about that. I do think hopefully, if Andre gets in, I like Andre Iguodala as a player. He played against the Lakers. He lost against the Lakers. He played against LeBron. He beat LeBron 3 times. He lost to LeBron as well, in the 2016 finals. And I watched that game yesterday on NBA Network. But, ultimately, I watched the series, Game 7, right? Ultimately, I think Andre Iguodala is a great player. And hopefully he does get in the Hall of Fame. I do think that, he's a great, he was a great asset to the Warriors teams. I actually got to see him play a number of times in person, specifically in the 2017 NBA Finals Game 2. Andre was able to obviously, come off the bench, be productive. KD obviously ran the show, right? So clearly overshadowed, but 2 years prior to that, he was the Finals MVP. So we'll see what happens on Andre Iguodala. Same argument for Rajon Rondo. I think Rajon Rondo is a bona fide Hall of Famer, but a lot of arguments can be made for both sides. So anyways, that's pretty much the kind of quick and dirty update for today. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe, comment below. Thank you all for tuning into the Digital Dream Off the Ground podcast, and have a great Tuesday. God bless.